New York City has some of the strictest campaign finance regulation in the country in terms of the cap on donations. And two associates of yours, John, a former campaign treasurer and a fundraiser, are set to face federal charges on April 15th. They're accused of fraud, of essentially doing an end run around those donation caps by assembling straw donors illegally. And you have not been charged or with anything or indicted or found of any wrongdoing. But obviously, there's been a huge item that has worked in the campaign.
It's been a huge distraction. It's been a huge cloud. It's been more than a year. Their trials are finally coming to, hopefully, to fruition. And I'm looking forward to it because I think the more facts come out about this, the better it'll be for the public, the better it'll be for the two people, the better it'll be for me and my campaign. You know, look, this is an investigation that, according to news reports, have gone on for almost 4 years. A full 2 years elapsed before they then decided to try to go after these two individuals that they're now putting up for trial. It's just been a travesty of justice.
Did you at any point have knowledge of or engage in any efforts to subvert the campaign finance laws?
Absolutely not. Listen, I've got to raise funds. I'm not Michael Bloomberg. I don't have enough money to use on my own. So I raise funds like everybody else, with two exceptions. I pride myself on having raised my ethical bars higher than anybody else in this city. I don't accept contributions from people doing business with the city of New York. I don't accept contributions from Wall Street or anybody who might be eyeing some business with our pension funds, because I think that's unethical. So I've raised those bars, and yet somehow they've gone after me for years, almost 4 years. They have interrogated thousands of my contributors and supporters. They've examined 1 million documents. They've even gone so far as to tap my own cell phone for an extended period of 18 months. And what do they have? And at this point, with less than 6 months to the election, they've got to put up or shut up.
Well, they're April 15th. Now, Sal, I want to turn to you. I'm trying to manage the clock here. You have some news you want to make here about something you're calling for, something very dear to my heart on the issue of transportation, which is another huge issue in the city.
It's an issue that's being ignored on a national basis. When I become mayor, I want to organize mayors for mass transit because it is essential to cities across the country. It affects the economy. If we can't move people around, the economic quality of the city suffers. Secondly, it's an air quality issue. We want to get people out of their cars. And thirdly, you create living wage jobs. And I don't think there's a constituency for it, unfortunately. They don't have lobbyists, people who use mass transit. So I want to organize mayors around the country to go to Washington and raise our voice for adequate funding of mass transit.
What you're seeing right there is a graph of where funding for mass transit comes from, and it is the federal government has gone up a little bit, but really state and local have to take more and more share. That's a huge item in the city. The New York City subway system, which is one of the miracles of civilization in the history of the world. It's the most incredible thing that it works all the time, day and night, one fare for the cost of a slice of pizza.
One quick fix, Chris. All it takes is a 10% shift in federal transportation funding away from highway construction to mass transit, and it would solve a lot of the problems.
But also in New York, looking for ways to be able to fund mass transit. I've suggested for a few years now that we do two things: that we reinstate a commuter tax so that those in New Jersey and Connecticut and Long Island can pay in and help to support.
Good luck in Albany.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's not for the city of New York. It is for mass transit for the entire region, as well as, looking at a registration fee increase for the 12 covered counties in the MTA based on weight. All of that together generates between $1.5 billion and $2 billion that goes into mass transit.
And look, the big picture here is what's happened in Washington is a disinvestment in our cities, disinvestment in infrastructure, mass transit. The next mayor in New York City has to be what past mayors were, a spokesperson for urban America, changing the actual debate nationally with other governors and mayors, and the absence of that is and Bloomberg hasn't been able to be that voice because he's an oligarch, right? It doesn't really fit calling for money for mass transit for working people. But the next mayor has to push that national agenda.
All right, it was really a pleasure to have you all here today. I really enjoyed it.
Congratulations on your move up.
Thank you very much.
Good being here.
Good politician. I want to thank New York City Public Advocate Bill de Blasio, former City Councilman Sal Albanese, former City Comptroller Bill Thompson, and current Comptroller John Liu. They are all running for mayor of New York City. Thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed having you here this morning. I love this city. Sex columnist Dan Savage. How's that for a transition, America? Up next.